All right, guys, welcome back to the Caminante podcast. I'm super excited about today.
I'm so excited.
I do think that today is going to be a very interesting episode.
Y'all are in for a serious treat. Seriously, we have our mastermind, our business guru, Harvard education. It just is so much success and experience. I'm so pumped.
I'm pumped.
I'm Tiffany, and this is my amazing husband, Luis. We are the host behind Caminante. Your path is made by walking.
In this episode of Caminante, we're going to explore the different cultural backgrounds and associate all that with the challenge of creating businesses. How to start that, how to build a trust branded, how to be resilient and walk the path that you need to in order to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to talk about what it takes to build and grow a business as an entrepreneur navigating different worlds.
So Caminante, where your path is made by walking and cultures collide and empires rise, right?
Yes.
Today is going to be a very special topic. I think it really hits my heart. It's about entrepreneurship, business, taking the risk, taking the challenges, having that persistent and resilient soul, right? In order to chase dreams and make it happen.
And you've blown me away. And I just have to tell you guys, this is the mastermind behind the business.
She loves me.
You guys are, and me. I just feel like anybody who is around you, honey, just is so blessed.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. Well, I would tell you, over the years, I've had multiple opportunities to kind of experiment that process. And in the beginning was multiple failures. I mean, one after another and after another. But the cool thing about it is that now thinking, the journey that I have come from, I've been able to do it across multiple countries, multiple cultures. Even though there were some failures on the way, it built me to the success that we're having today. And I'm very grateful because every single experience every single journey we had or we built together, even though it may have not worked out, it had something that allowed me to learn for the next opportunity. Yeah,
I love that about your story. And looking back, your story is one of the greatest reasons of why I fell in love with you. You came to this country literally with nothing. You didn't even have the language, That's money, right. No language. And, it was very traumatic at first. It was not challenging. It was not easy.
Challenging.
Very challenging.
So let's see. Experience so we did a little bit of trading of vehicles, flipping vehicles. We did hospitality. We did import and export when it comes to post-consumer textile products across Central America. We did recycling as well. We did logistics, digital marketing, right? Hotels. That's the hospitality part of it. We own restaurants. So I think quite a bit of an experience across different industries and countries. And I would say that each experience had taught me a couple of things. That change is the only thing constant. Resilience, persistent, and stay clear to what your vision and goal is. I can say dreams.
Sure. Yeah. Starting a business is one thing.
Right.
Scaling a business and then doing it over and over and over again and keeping the level of success that you have is just it's just an inspiration. And entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's and now that I'm on this side of it, when we were in banking, so we met in banking. That's and right. He was an entrepreneur at the time, and I only knew how to be an employee. And I loved it, actually. and I miss it in some sense, because I feel like once you become an entrepreneur, it consumes you. Like that is who you are.
It's a lifestyle.
But it doesn't, you can't, you don't get 2 weeks vacation.
Right.
You don't get to leave at 5 and come back at,
right.
It doesn't stop. But there's something like so interesting about it that keeps pulling you back. Mm-hmm. And even though it doesn't ever shut off, you love it. Like, it's weird. It's really...
it is. And that's why the resilience and that inner motivation that you have to keep going. And that's what translates to that consistency that you're referring to. Because I remember my first, let's say, 1 million that we reached, I felt that it was the most difficult part in doing business. Because you have to work double the hard, or twice hard. You have to have one job and then build something else on the side. Take the chances and risks while you're doing and protecting your job, be a top performer, and at the same time, do also well on the business that you're trying to build in the long term. So my mindset was always independence, especially financially. And while I was doing that and looking for that, and I was also doing my job as, in the corporate world, I recall that experience that we had in the banking industry. We won the pinnacle. And I got removed because of this, because of chasing the dream of building different enterprises.
Excuse me. They can never take that away from you.
They try. They try.
The Pinnacle Award is the top 1% of bankers in the nation.
Right.
And it is extremely prestigious. And I mean, it took me a few years to get there, but I just remember
we did it together. I mean, that was a beautiful thing. That was a beautiful thing. Same timing. We also met that same year.
Yes.
So it was a beautiful thing to see happen. But at the same time, I do remember losing it, and I got a recall of those emails sending me and phone calls telling me, hey, by the way, I see that you are building different businesses on the side. We were not aware of it. So we're removing the pinnacle.
And it was a systematic thing. It's like you have to like go in and it was you weren't doing anything
It's an
wrong,
entire protocol. It's a protocol that you got to follow.
Yeah.
And I thought that I did.
You had some listed, but I guess there was a new
That's
anyway.
Right. That's right.
Right. So nobody can take your success from you.
No. But it brings back to the point, which is working twice, or the effort that you got to put into this to make it work is twice hard.
Right.
Because think about it, in order to be a pinnacle performer, I mean, it's time consuming. You got to dedicate time, energy, right? How much energy do we have and time in the day? And then when I finished that and I was going home, I kept working.
Right.
I kept going and going and going.
Yeah, you did. You were a beast.
Right. Well, not anymore.
No, yeah. I think I am too now.
Right.
So I don't see it as much,
Well, because we got used to it, I guess.
Right.
I do think that we were working harder when we were in corporate, because you had to do 2 jobs. You got to be as good as an entrepreneur and a business owner, the same way as I was a banker at that time. I was just aiming for the best. The same thing in the business part of it, right? In that entrepreneurship part of it, I was aiming for the best. And to do both of the things really well, it requires time, resilience, flexibility, a lot of input and hard work.
Risk.
I mean, yes.
Mitigating risk. That's one thing that has always been very encouraging that I've seen from you. And it's really helped me, and it's propelled me in my own journey of entrepreneurship because, I was raised as a competitive athlete, very competitive, and failing was not an option, period. Mm-hmm. You did not fail. Not only was it like that in sports for me, but I feel like also at home, it was very, you just don't fail. You don't make mistakes. You don't fail. And not that in it was not a bad thing in any way, helped me be who I am today.
Sometimes failing,
but now as an entrepreneur, I'm almost like, how many times can I fail? Because I know I fail 10 times, I find at least one thing that will work.
Right.
So it's like failure has, and matter of fact, I heard this entrepreneur of a very successful brand, and she was saying that her father, when she would come home, would say, not what did you do good today, but how many times did you fail today?
Love it.
And he wanted her to experience failure.
That's right.
And learn and bounce back and keep going. So that for me was a real big spin. And you encouraged me in that, yes. Taking risk, because you were things are not going to work out, period.
Well, and here's the thing that I also noticed, and you brought a really good point. What's that risk appetite that everybody has? And I think culturally speaking, depending where you come from, right? The socioeconomics environment of the country, all that is going to build some sort of risk appetite that not too many people understand. So, for example, in countries like Venezuela and Latin America, the situation is so unstable, politically speaking, that translates to economically speaking, that the risk that people take, I'm talking at the macro level, right? There's always one of those few that don't fall into that same bucket. And I would say I'm one of them. Because you are in such an unstable economy and political scope that you don't want to take too much risk, because the uncertainty is there.
Sure.
Right? Even though in the first world country like US, the uncertainty is still there, right? Like, I think the ratio of business success is 80% fail and then 20, something like that. It's a very small percentage that actually succeed. It's still there, but the infrastructure allows you to take more risk.
Sure.
You got the financial tools, you got access to cash, banking, you got some sort of access to information that is faster than any other places in the world. So it allows you to kind of take more risk. And I saw that when I came in here at 17. Because countries like the ones that I was referring to, Venezuela and other third world countries, you just want to save because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with the government, this and that. In here, it's very stable in the sense of, even though there may be one side or the other politically speaking, both kind of aim for something similar, which is trying to promote business ownership, initiative, leadership, innovation. And I think that's the foundation of the United States. Versus in others, you don't have that. So what do you think about that when it comes to that risk appetite? How do you manage that? Because we learned that in banking. I think one of the things that I'm so thankful in banking is I learned how to manage risk. So what are your thoughts when it comes to managing risk? Because when I met you, you were playing safe. Very, very safe.
Very safe.
So thoughts on that?
I think it just comes from experience and being exposed to it. You've had things that didn't work out.
Right.
You've had businesses that really didn't go that well. And you bounced back from it, and you have, come back. So seeing that and just learning that.
Gave you some confidence.
Right. But it's also, you don't just go and do anything. Right. It's mitigated risk. And I also feel like having each other
right.
also has allowed, I can do I don't know if it's because we're married. I just feel more comfortable now to take risk.
That's right.
And in taking risk, I've seen the success exponential growth.
That's right.
So,
well, because it always takes that first step. And that's why when we talk about Caminante and the podcast and what is it about? You truly make your path by walking. You have to take the first step.
Right.
You don't follow your dreams, or you don't chase for what you're looking for, sitting around and waiting for the right moment. At one point, you just have to let go, let the fear, and make the first step. And what I learned is that first step teaches you something for you to take the second one.
That's right.
And then the third, and then the fourth. And then that's how you make a path.
Right.
It's truly by walking. And that's why I like that how do you call, banner or title of what we're trying to build here is how do we portray and actually teach or share with, the audience that truly you can make your path by walking. There is a faith aspect, right? And you're the co-pilot of it. You do good, and I think blessings come along. But you still have to trust and take that leap of faith and take that first step in the process. Mitigating risk. So you do it, not like, I just got to do it, because if you don't take risk, you don't win. And I listen to that so many times, and I say, that phrase is so wrong.
Right.
It's not about if you don't take risk, you don't win. If you don't take mitigated risk, you don't win.
Right.
And I think that's very important to share. Don't you think?
I do. So how do you mitigate risk?
That's actually a great question.
Because you always seem to know, I don't know, you just make, like, God's favor follows you. It does. So, like, you don't get into any more bad, like you make good business decisions. And I'm always like, oh, how'd you know that? Like, do you know the future?
Well, I would say this. It does require a lot of time and effort to learn. You got to learn. Right. I don't think it's just, that I have something different. I think I invested a lot of time during my youth.
Right.
Reading about business magazines, economy, staying tuned of what that means. Any word that I didn't understand in business, I would research it and study, and what does this mean and that. And I just put a lot of time in it.
You did.
That I think it does pay, and I do, and I still do. The learning does not stop.
You read all the time.
But when I was 17, I remember me, reading The Economist or Wall Street Journal. And
not
other people
knowing English. That's
what is actually interesting, because I was pushing myself to learn about the topic, even in a language that I did not. In my first economy class, I failed it because I didn't understand the teacher anything. I would say I probably understood 10% because of the language barrier, but that didn't stop me. And I think you learn how to mitigate risk is by not only putting the time and the effort in learning the topic that you want to know. So then it allows you to foresee step 1, 2, 3, and 4, so you can mitigate the risk. So you're not making decisions just because you're making decision. If I do this, this is the possible consequence. If I do that, so then you start kind of building a path with your decisions as you are planning. Kind of like chess. Do you love chess, baby?
I like checkers. You love chess.
I love chess because it allows you to see
how to play.
Your play in a long term, right? It's not like you're just moving one piece for the next move. You're doing it for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves after that. So kind of similar scenario. So I would say a lot of time, the continuing learning does not stop. That's probably will be, and banking. Banking taught me a lot of that because the exposure that we got every single day on multiple business backgrounds was incredible. Crazy. I was looking at 3, 4, 5 taxes a day, different industries, cash flow, understanding the challenges of each industry that you start accumulating. And that was my reason to actually get into that role, was I knew that it was going to give me the exposure that I needed to be very well business exposed.
Yeah.
I got a question for you though.
Okay.
So when I was starting to follow that dream of becoming, a business owner, building my own thing, I remember going through a lot of pressure. Okay. Not only because of, my job, also because of family, right? That goes that culture back. My father he is from the school that you are really loyal to corporate, and that's the generation back then, right?
Yes.
And where you stay with the company.
Yes.
And this has changed so much.
You honor your employee. I mean, I was like raised on that.
That's right.
I mean,
that's right. And that's the school that my father comes from. And I remember that used to put a lot of pressure,
right.
Especially when I went to Colombia. I was in my 20s. I was a successful manager for one of these large financial institutions. And then I went to Colombia to, launch an entire new business, imagine a new country. It was crazy, the idea just to think about it. But just to do that and be able to communicate that to my loved ones. And, it was, for me, was very, very scary because you had that pressure, right? So you get the pressure from your parents. I think you're crazy. This is an insane idea. What are you doing? You got also pressure from your friends. Everybody start putting pressure. And then you found out that at the end of the day, what is it that you want? Are you going to just fight all the way until the end, right? That resilience, that wanting, that hunger of, I'll do whatever it takes to make it work successful. If I need to work twice or three times, I do it. Do you keep pushing even though the current is against you?
Right.
So I'm sure you are very competitive. I mean, you most likely you have gone through that quite a bit.
Right. I think sometimes we can face challenging situations and go, oh no, this is not for me. This is not. And I feel like a lot of times in Christian communities, we can
have the same
position challenges as this is not what God wants for you. And I think that that's dangerous.
Right.
Somebody asked, so I got a message today.
At the end of the day, it's fears.
Somebody asked me if this was like a Jesus podcast. This is not a religion podcast, but God plays a significant role in certain decisions that I make. So I talk about that because it's
we don't believe in religion. We believe in God.
Right.
Just put it out there.
The relationship. Right. Okay. So, but yeah, you in this, there's no giving up. It's like marriage,
right,
in a sense.
Yes.
And once you take that step, and you there's no turning back.
Mm-hmm. So how about this? Because it takes me to, you're a little bit more then into advancing the business. You're trying to strategize, align your objective. What is it that you want to do? How do you get to understand, or how do you get to be adaptable, culturally speaking, to understand your demographics, the target of audience that you're looking for, so that way you can start building an entire business plan around that? I know you are a very successful creator, influencer, digital marketing, producer, we can call it like that. How do you align your strategy to reach out your audience? Because every business has to do the same thing, and that's just a component, right? So how do you do that?
It's a moving target. And I think that's one of the hardest things about my industry. So I started working at 13, actually probably before that, like babysitting here and there, but I couldn't wait to work. I was begging to work. I started bagging groceries at Winn-Dixie like the day I could start there. And man, I started making money and I was like, I love this. I want more. So I was like working as much as I could, and then my grandpa would take any paycheck that I would put in the bank and he would match it. So if I made $200, which was a lot,
that's wise.
He would go for, and it's so cute. Like then I started figuring it out, and I said, he said, "Oh, well, we're gonna have to change it a little bit," you know,
right? Because you were
yeah, I was working.
You were hitting that bank account.
Then I would get to 800, and I think that's when he said like, and $800 was for no, it was probably 16 by then.
Back then,
yeah, by then. So, but it was just so great because over those years I learned, and he would always tell me, "It's not what you make, it's what you save." Mm-hmm. It's not what you, and that was hard when I met you because I would always talk about spending and you're like, no, I'm not spending, I'm investing.
Yes.
And investing was not something, I was always saving. And right. When you really look into saving versus
investing,
certain investments,
yes.
It is different.
It is different.
It can be a very good thing, and that Completely. Was something that I had to learn.
Well, you have to have or build certain capital in order to invest.
Right.
So, becoming a business owner or entrepreneur, you go through different phases. Like if I have to, very quickly summarize it, in the beginning, like the challenge that I had to understand the cultural differences. I had to understand how to play the game, right? And what I mean the game is, how do I have access to financial system, right? Banks, access to credit, cash, how to understand the credit score system, right? How to understand, rebuilding it because, I took risk and then I hurt my credit really bad and then rebuilding it again. And then that next cycle to do it even better based on the experience that you had, understand the legal framework, understand the speed of things. I mean, customers in here are completely different than in Latin America. Technology is a big player. So now you have to understand technology. The way you reach your consumers, your customers are different here than probably, somewhere else. So you got to have a really good understanding within the framework around you to align your strategy and walk the path. So understanding all that, then you got okay, now I get that. I got my knowledge. Now what is it that I need? I need cash. You need your savings. So now I need to build some sort of equity, right? Some cash reserves for me to then make a play. So then you start finding jobs, and that's what I was doing. You find a job, you start building your savings. And once you build a good amount of money, then you can say, okay, now what do I do with this money? How do I invest it? Because sitting in there, earning that minimum rate that a savings account give you, that won't do it. That won't cut it.
Right.
Inflation sometimes is even higher. So how do you pass that? But you got to have the cash first. And then you apply knowledge, the cash that you build, and then you start deploying those resources all together to start doing one step at a time to keep getting you, at the level that you want to higher and higher.
Okay.
So I think that's something that I can summarize, at least from that initial phase, and then continue learning, continue investing, so that way you continue growing.
That's good.
Kind of like a good summary for you.
That's very good. Yep. So embrace adaptability. Mm-hmm. Build a strong community. Know your market. Make sure you have the proper funding and resources for how you're going to invest or save.
And I think we can, as we evolve with the podcast and the audience and these different topics, I think at one point we can break down each different phase.
Yeah, that's good.
Of being, an entrepreneur. Because
Right.
There's going to be everybody's going to have different levels.
I have people asking how to start at the, how do I even set up an LLC? Right. And then you've got, so there's a wide range of.
Yes, it's you got different levels of people that, backgrounds, business expertise. And I think we got to keep it interesting for everybody so that way we don't go too basics, but also we don't go too overcomplicated. But I think that right there is a good summary of how to start from the beginning, building yourself up. I would say become bankable. That's very, very, very important, because when you're starting and you have no cash, your only good friend is going to be who has cash. And bankable means you got to have everything aligned, your tax returns, your finances, your cash reserves, so that way you could potentially qualify for loans and access to cash that, in this country, there's a lot of programs out there that help business owners. A Small Business Administration is a great department that pushes that kind of individual that has the idea, has the financial expertise to run a business, and it just needs just a little push. Sometimes you're going to have to be bankable the same way you are for the banks to probably raise money from your friends, your family, right? So it's starting to understand how do you become in a strong position even though you don't have the cash, so you can tell your story and become attractive in one way or the other, so that way either the bank invests on you as a loan, or either your friend or family invests on you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love that. Can you tell a story real quick about when you went to China by yourself and you didn't tell anybody?
Let me see. Let me remember. So I went twice, but there's one that it really changed my life. Back then, I was actually launching a business in Colombia. We were doing a mobile advertising project. So I was really just copying similar system of what back then was in Manhattan. So all these taxi drivers with displays, and all what you were doing is really pushing marketing and advertising. And I had to secure a vendor. Okay. So what I did was just went to China, Guangzhou particularly, and I went by myself because I needed to figure out what my cost was. I was putting together my business plan, and I needed to understand how much money that I need in order to not only raise for that equipment, but also to, launch it and get it up and running. And I just didn't have that information. You go on the internet, you got all these different people, and as you know, you don't find vendors in the internet. That's you just open yourself for a scam, one, or two, you open yourself for a very bad quality product, and you don't want that either. So I decided to go there personally, took a flight. Actually, I didn't tell my family or anything like that. They hated me for that. And I ended up in this place called Guangzhou. And I really thought, because, I've been in Beijing, and you kind of have an idea that you got the English language reading in the signs, and some of the people that you meet on the way, they're bilingual. Tiff, in this place, nobody spoke English. All the signs were in Chinese. So imagine you, so young, early 20s, got out of the plane,
I'd have been
and
sick.
I start seeing everything, and no English signs anywhere back then. I'm not sure if now is the case, but back then that was just, so I got so scared. Then you had to take a taxi, right? So you would think, well, somebody will speak, nobody spoke English. And the first taxi driver that comes, up, speaking, no, all right. So I just showed my phone, and, kind of like he didn't understand what we were. And then he just said, okay, I know. And he got me in it. Then you are looking at this tremendous, huge country of amount of people, vehicles, and you start realizing, if I get lost here, nobody will find me.
Oh, no.
That fear started kicking in,
Right.
that anxiety
Right.
and that. So I share the GPS location with my brother. I say, Joseph Wayai, I'm in China. This is my GPS location. And the guy, what do you mean you're in China? Yes, I'm here. We can talk about it later.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just that I don't know where I am. I'm in a taxi. I think it's a taxi, right? Because you hear all these different stories. And I don't know. I'm like 45 minutes away from the destination. And I'm really right now trusting what I have in my GPS, which everything is Chinese, and the driver. And that was the beginning of that journey. Then I had to take a train, bus, and Tiff, nobody spoke English. Except few people that as you go on the way, for some reason, somebody sat next to me and had very broken English. And she told me, you're in the wrong direction. You're taking the train to the other side of the city. Imagine getting lost to the other side of the city.
Did you feel comfortable there? Like,
no. When I got to the hotel, my hands were shaking.
wow.
Because you get in a position that you have no control. And at that moment, the only thing that you're doing is trusting in God, that He will provide and somehow put the right people on the way.
Right.
And that is very uncomfortable. That's truly one of the paths that I took that really tests me on my faith and how much can I rely on the pilot and me truly be the co-pilot. So I think that was kind of like a summary of that. Eventually I met with the vendor and everything else, but that phase was really difficult.
Sure.
And it resembles to what we're talking about today. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you have to make that first step. You make a path by walking. Fear will hold you back. Your friends will hold you back. Your parents, your family, they will hold you back.
Yeah.
All these different pressures outside that will tell you will fail, you don't know what you're doing, and it really gets on you. For some people, it's frightening. But if you know what you want and you have that lion heart and that mind that you're resilient, you go after it, and you're not quitting, and you're willing to do the extra work and all that, and you stay focused on that, I think nobody stops you.
Yeah, I think that's the secret. And people ask me all the time, what's the secret? What's the secret? And I don't have a secret. The only secret, there's no, the secret is that you don't stop. You don't give up. You don't throw in the towel. You don't change your mind. Remember in the beginning?
Well, I was going to ask you this. How many times have you failed on throwing the towel, Tiff? How many times? Let's be real. Let's keep it real. That's what it's about.
I would say like we could count them on not more than two hands, right?
You want to include the foot in there?
Okay, not more than toes and fingers, right? No,
I think two hands.
Especially in the beginning. In the beginning, I say the first 5-6 years is brutal, brutal. I couldn't have done it without you.
Right. Yeah, it's difficult, and some people are built for it. Some people are just they're not built for it. I think what it is important is once you know your purpose, once you know the reason why you're here, and you truly trust about yourself, right? And you just stay true to that path, even though the culture is against you, the people around you are against you, and everybody just tells you don't. It really requires a lot of confidence to just stay true to your path.
Yeah.
When I was turning 30, around 30, it's kind of around the age that you and we met. I tried so many times, launching something. And I kept failing and falling, and, I even destroyed my credit, right? To try something because I thought I had a skill set and I thought I was ready because I was performing really well in my job, that I said, I quit and I'm just going to go and chase my dreams. And I failed, right? Those failures sometimes cave people.
Yeah.
They scare you. They scare you. That you don't want to keep taking more risk. And when I was around the 30 age mark, I said, if I don't do it now, I won't be able to do it later in life, because then you're in a different life cycle. And I think for the audience out there, especially those that are in the 20s, early 30s, this is your time. Later on, you're in a different life cycle. Later on comes family and kids and all that. And some people start even earlier. And I always protected my life cycle, that I didn't want to either get married or have a family in my 20s, because I wanted to take as much risk as I could in order to give an opportunity to find my dream.
I wish I would have spent my 20s doing all that. That's all I gotta say. Wish I would have spent my 20s going to China and Colombia and failing businesses, and because it's flopped in your mind. You're waiting for the right time to then get ready.
Getting it going, right.
And that's just, and what I've seen, it's not how it works.
I love that.
You have to get ready, be prepared.
Before it even comes to you.
Yes.
I agree.
And then when it comes...
I think that's actually a great way to kind of summarize everything that we're talking about. Because if you don't see far enough, right, of what that final goal is, you will never take that first step. And you got to have that vision to see it through.
That's good.
And that first step is always the beginning of something. But you got to take it. You got to take the chances. You got to take the risk. That first step, and that's why I go back to that title of our podcast is, you truly make your path by walking. It's not that you have a destiny for you waiting out there that all what you got to do is just sit around, or even what you just said, to wait for the right moment or the right opportunity. Completely the opposite. You got to walk it, chase it as you're building it, trust that it's out there, and then the opportunity comes.
So, what are some practical things that people read, connect, network,
I would
say
say
yes to opportunity? What are some practical things people can do who want to grow, diversify?
I was having that conversation with a good friend of mine, and unfortunately nowadays social media has taken over in a lot of places of our brain. Social media can be good, don't get me wrong, because you have access to information in a much quicker way. But I do believe that the majority of people use social media for other reasons, okay? And I think that everything that you are exposed to, you're putting in your brain, okay? The information that you read, the information that you watch, the videos, and the reading, all that somehow start building who you are. I would recommend to spend your time and allocate any exposure that you have for the things that matter. If what matters to you is cooking, expose yourself fully around that. Use every channel out there that you have to be exposed to that, so you become the best of the best. If it is hospitality, if it is logistics, if it is regenerative farming, that we're into that. I spend time and time every single day exposing myself in the topics that I have curiosity and that I know they are feeding into my brain, so it will help me to make the right decisions around the businesses or around the opportunities that open up. Don't use the resources out there to just get exposed yourself on things that really don't matter. So the reading has changed completely. Before it was magazines and all that. Nowadays is in social media and different apps. You got X, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got TikTok. Now it has changed the way you receive the information.
Yeah.
Be wise and open those windows to the right information, so it helps you to become the person you want to become.
Yeah, use your time wisely.
Use your time wisely.
You do that big time. I never see you wasting time with anything. You are very particular about how you allocate and who you allocate your time with.
That would be my second.
It's amazing.
The second one would be, you cannot please everybody. And when you become a people pleaser, all what you're doing is wasting energy. You're draining yourself at the end of the day. That
some people just are not going to be happy.
Yes. But not only that they're going to be happy, it's just, you got to water the relationships that matter. And we were talking about it in our first episode. You got to water those that matter. And it also works in business. What are those relationships that matter? Those relationships that you want to build from. Those relationships that you want to learn from, right? Those relationships that may be able to help you to make the next step, right? That first step that they trust you, that encourage you, the ones that build you up. Not the ones, when I start feeling and reading negativity around the people around me, I typically stay away from those people. I just don't like negativity. I just don't like people that focus on the fear versus the opportunity. I like the ones that are kind of around the same scope of things. So they build you up, right? They actually give you that push that you need, because we got enough of challenges already.
Yeah, you become like the 5 people you surround yourself with. Period.
Talk to me about that, sweetie. Talk to me.
Yeah, so that goes back to what we were talking about with community.
Community.
Try to find somebody who's ahead.
Right.
Ask, reach out. Hey, can I chat with you once? Hey, can you talk? Hey, can you pursue? We can't just sit back and wait for things to fall in our lap.
That's right.
That is just not going to happen.
One of the things that I did as I was growing and becoming a man and being mature, it was find those people that would share wealth of knowledge into me, and I would call them tutors, right? I had one when I was 17 and 18, my good friend from Japan, Taro Sayama. So wise. Incredibly wise, how Taro was. So smart. I remember that he was, and the school considered him the smartest guy in the school. He's no longer with us anymore, but great guy that I was able to learn the discipline, the reading, the focus of things. He was just so composed, right? And so smart. He didn't even study when he was going to take his final exams, and he would just ace it. I've never met anybody like that. Then you get, who is my next tutor? So those tutors and those people, mentors. Sure. Yeah, mentors. Yeah. I think that's the term. They are out there. You just have to plunge yourself with those, with the right ones.
Yes.
That they care, that they can teach you. And so, yes, I would say the information and how you educate yourself, one, and then two, how do you build a community around you and the people that surround you, so make you who you are.
I love that.
I think those are two great.
Amazing. Thank you. This has been amazing. I feel like we have so much just valuable information, and I'm fired up. I'm like, what's the next project?
You're doing it.
Yeah, We're doing
it.
But I think it would be a great idea, because I did have a lot of people reaching out asking about content creation, social media influencing, personal branding, and this is a big
advertising.
Part. Digital marketing, absolutely.
Yeah, your business is beautiful. I love your business. When we kick this thing off together, and then you just took it to a whole different level. I love your business. It's so interesting. It's smart. You have to know your market, your audience, be very strategic how you reach your audience. Because at the end of the day, then you start managing budgets and money and how much do I put in here or there to be able to reach, right, the people that you want to. And for me, it's an amazing business. I think people will appreciate that. Yes.
So we could touch on that a little bit more next time.
Love it.
And we'll get some questions also from our followers and circle back on social media, e-com.
Well, let's do this. We are thinking about including some sort of engagement from the audience, real time, real life, and we're preparing that. And I would love some feedback, right, from those viewers out there, how that would look like, if it is a good idea, if it is something that is worth to explore, because I think it'll make it very interesting.
So fun.
Don't you think?
I love that. Yeah, we used to go do that all the time. You remember?
It was funny.
Thousands and thousands of people.
It was funny.
Yeah.
And I miss that.
Yes.
Well, Tiff, thank you for making this happen this afternoon. It's kind of like a rainy day. But I love doing this with you, talking about different ways of becoming better, either in business, personal growth. And I think it's crucial. And especially that they can see the diversity of how our differences can complement each other when we choose to work together.
And that anybody can do this.
That's right.
Anybody can do this.
I believe it.
Great job.
I do believe it. Thank you, guys. This is Caminante, the podcast where you make your path by walking. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Until next one. Thank you.